Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Clarkson here. Excited to be with you here this afternoon, actually this morning here in Austin, Texas. It's cold, but it's a lot nicer outside today. It's not so rainy and dreary and cold. It's got a little bit of wind, and we're right above freezing, but hey, it's January. What do you expect? But anyway, guys and gals out there, excited for today's episode. Getting a lot of questions or seeing a lot of comments online about people frustrated with sellers, people frustrated with inventory. I saw a thread on BiggerPockets yesterday. And yes, I check out BiggerPockets. I spent about 30 minutes in the late evening before I head home of looking at BiggerPockets and kind of tracking that and commenting and seeing who's posted on there as well. But people are talking about, oh, what's up with the market? What's up with the note industry? Is everything overpriced? Chad Urbshott mentioned something, our buddy from Canada. Good morning, Chad, if you're out there, talking about how he just got off the phone with a hedge fund right before the end of the year, and they're wanting to sell the assets at 70% of value, even though that's way above what the unpaid balance is. Or when he called them out on it, they wanted full UPB, which just doesn't make sense. And so what I wanted to talk about this episode is about 2019 focus and how you've got to change some things up. And this is a little bit different than one of our previous episodes of talking about, hey, what you should focus on in the next year and where your business is going. This is focused basically solely for those note investors out there, people that are focused on the non-performing and the performing side of business out there. And so I thought we'd start first with that. And for those that are watching, I would love it if you had take a second to go ahead and make sure and share this video. If you're watching this live on Facebook, would really appreciate it. Okay. Good morning, Charles Wilson. Charles Wilson. Good to see you, buddy. Good morning to you as well. But one of the things here, guys and gals that are out there watching, our extended note family, as I've seen this also in our private Facebook group as well for our students, is that people are getting a little frustrated on some things. And it's also, that's funny because I see a lot of people that are frustrated with the lowest hanging fruit, like the usual suspects, the usual people that are providing lists on a regular basis, those that are emailing out to the note database. And what's funny is about a year and a half ago, Bill Bymel, some of you are familiar with him, mentioned to me that I was one of the causes for the drive up in the industry. And I kind of laughed a little bit. And I said, I don't think I'm the cause of it in our marketing, helping people find deals. It's just that we get a lot of people that come over the note space because they're not educated in what they should be paying. And you have a lot of funds that have bought assets or bought portfolios or bought a big chunk from another company. They think they're selling it at REO pricing, which doesn't make sense. And so what you have this gap between what some of these new buyers or new sellers are looking at, and then also the old guard, the people that knows what this assets are worth and know what the pricing should be on something. Now, of course, if you're always trying to buy the premier assets in the pool, you're going to pay above. I guarantee if you see a tape of 500, you're buying the best two assets. Yeah, you're going to pay a premium for those. Okay, you're buying the best assets, you're going to pay a premium. Okay, because you have to remember that most sellers will price their portfolio for the top 25% at the highest, and by top 25%, the top 25, 30% of the assets, they're the most valuable, the cleanest, that kind of stuff. The middle 50% is going to go something is where they're going to make the most amount of money, and the bottom 25% is where they're going to lose them out. So anytime you can add in other assets that you can make something happen with, that low bottom of the barrel stuff, it's going to help offset your pricing and also help you give a bit more favorable aspect of things. So when you're looking at portfolios, keep that in mind. I know we often get bogged down with as I like to say, the OTSC syndrome. If you don't know what the OT syndrome, that stands for, oh, that's so cute. Okay. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, I love that asset. Oh, it's so cute. I love it. I just want to buy all my assets like that. It's a little house and pretty manicure with a white picket fence. Ah. We all have run into that. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's a badass asset. I mean, I've done that in the past. Oh, it's a waterfront Miami Beach condo. Yeah. That's a bachelor pad. Yeah. The thing I want to get at more than anything else out there, guys and gals out there, is if somebody's trying to sell you something different, it's easy to just say, no, I'm sorry, you're overpriced, you just walk away. And I think what happens a lot of times is we forget, we see the pricing and we push back a little bit and they don't think about it. Well, you have to get some justifications on some things. We've got some yahoos out there that are trying to sell stuff above value that just doesn't make sense. And it's just going to have to wait time. Now, if somebody buys it from them, hey, keep track of who bought it. There's a couple different ways to keep track of who buys it, and we'll go into that. But first and foremost, let's talk about the sources. Where should you go for deal sources in 2019? Well, as Chad Urbshott, our buddy in Canada, mentioned, he needed to get on the phone to the banks. And that was one of the interesting threads I saw yesterday in BiggerPockets. He's like, oh, Scott Carson, he's made 50 phone calls a day for 12 years, and he owns all these assets. Nobody wants to deal with anybody else. And I laugh about that. If I was making 50 phone calls a day for 12 years, I would not have any time for anything else for the most part. I would never be able to track down and follow back up with the asset managers. And you've probably heard us discuss with Brett Palumbo from either Distressed Pro on either the podcast here or on Note Night in America or Note Camp that he was on, recently talking about you don't need 100 banks in the assets. If you start really dialing for dollars and hitting the pavement or talking on a regular basis, or using Distressed Pro to track down the banks that have stuff in reserves that gives them the opportunity to sell off these assets, you'll find some banks have some stuff that need to move some stuff. And you don't have to make a few. We got a few of our students who've used Distressed Pro. Well, actually, have quite a few. They've used Distressed Pro. But some that are reaching out to banks, they're getting one bank to send them 30 assets, one bank to send them 50 assets, one bank to send them on their list every quarter. I mean, I have some banks that send me a list once a quarter of what we end up buying from. Some of it's nice. Most of it's cleaner than dealing with the hedge funds or dealing with the chop shops like like how Granite used to be, or even how Condor is, or even some of the other names out there, stuff like that, where they're buying in bulk and they're looking to sell the stuff off as fast as possible. And that's not always the case. You see some of those companies have gotten burned because they bought trying to wholesale everything, and that's not always the case. When you're buying assets, sometimes the better assets, there's not room for you to jack it up by 30, 40, 50%. You've got to work that asset out and take it back yourself. And so keep that in mind. Deal sources this year, I think really 2019 is going to be the wave of bank assets. You're going to see much more people doing one of two things. One, they're either getting out of the note business, they're going to something else, traditional real estate or fix and flipping or turnkey stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. And those that really build the business out, this are really building bank connections, are really, as I say, pounding the pavement, dialing for dollars, picking the phone, and those closers, there's going to be deals for them. There are going to be deals that nobody sees because nobody's calling these banks. Nobody's calling the asset managers on a regular basis. Nobody's marketing on a regular basis. Okay? Now, it's the first week of the year. You don't want to drop a email to them. Heck, most of these asset managers are coming back from vacation. They clean off their books the end of December. They're taking a week to kind of relax a little bit. Loan committee probably doesn't meet till next week. All right. So sending an email out to asset managers the first week of the year is the worst thing you could do. Wait till the second or third week of January if you're going to send a list out and then start dialing for dollars and pick up the phones of those that actually open it. Okay. So that's really the first part I would look at. Okay. Is talking to banks. Get on the phone, either building an email list from some of the websites we've talked about before. Lane Guide, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I think, is a really it's kind of a mixed bag of things these days now, especially since LinkedIn on Thanksgiving did away with publishing their emails. Like you used to be able to do a data dump, a data download of LinkedIn, all your contacts, and get first name, last name, email address, job title, and company. Well, I just updated mine yesterday, downloaded it, and there were only 29 emails addresses on over 15,000 contacts. It's like, well, we won't be doing a data dump for a while until LinkedIn changes some things, but it's still a very valuable place to spend some time. All right. A very valuable place to spend some time marketing for asset managers, because the fact is that you have the emails, you can send direct messages. That's still a very valuable thing that anybody can do at any time. If you're working full time, that's still a very valuable place to be and spend some time, 30 minutes a day in the evenings, on the weekends, sending out direct messages, even at late at night, sending direct messages to asset managers on LinkedIn. I think that's a very valuable tool. And it's something I think we all should do, especially when you combine it with the next facet of deal sources that I would recommend. Now, end of 2017, I haven't done this yet, I haven't pulled this yet. I had our good friends, Alex Godofsky at Pro Title USA, jump on the county records or the county clerk website and pull a list of every assignment of mortgage filed in Orange County, Florida. That's Orlando. Okay. And the number for all of 2017 was something like 14,500 entities. Okay. Entities. And when they condensed that down, it was like 9,000 individual transactions, or 9,000 individual names. Sorry. Okay. So over 17,000 transactions and 9,800 entity names. Now, what can you do with those entity names? Now, yes, a lot of them are going to be different fund names, fund 1, fund 2, fund 3, fund 4. But if you search through a list like something like that, you're going to find plenty of entities, banks, lending institutions that are buying and selling mortgages, buying and selling notes in that county. So one thing you may want to do is do a little bit of research yourself. Jump onto the county that you're in, or one of the counties that you're interested in buying in. If you got top 5 cities or top 5 states across the country, you're looking at, go to the bigger cities in those areas and do a little search. Jump on the county clerk, go to Netra Online and pull up that county and do a little search for assignments or assignment of mortgage or AOMs. Each county is a little bit different how they search for it, but doing that, pick up the phone, call the county. Hey, I'm looking for the assignment of mortgages. What's the best way for me to track that down? Some counties are going to want you to pay to log in, so pay the few bucks to log in. All you really need is to get that information in something that you can either pull out, copy, or export out. Now, I know Alex Godofsky and his staff will do that for you if it's in a county that's available online, but they're going to charge you depending on the amount and how difficult it is to download. It's still, though, if you can pull 9,800 entity names, what would you do with that? Me, I'm going to take that and take those names and have a VA go over and try to find people on LinkedIn that have that entity name inside of them, inside of their profile, okay? And just doing a search, copy, paste, search, and see if it pops up. If it's got like entity 13, if it's, let's just say Condor Capital, Fund 1356, whatever. I just do Condor Capital and do a search and see if anybody pops up. So give me some names. Those are who I'm going to send direct messages to. Say, hey, I see that you guys are buying or selling notes in a couple counties that I invest in. I'd love to see what you have on your books. Okay. Now, if you guys have any questions or comments that are watching online, feel free to comment in the Facebook section down below the video. We'll be glad to try to answer those as we can as we run through this live. But that would be one of the big things that I would do. AOMs, the assignment of mortgages at the county clerk website of the county that you're interested in. So if you're buying, let's say in Ohio, okay, I would go to, the whatever county seat Columbus is in, or if you like Cincinnati, going to Cincinnati. If you like here in Texas, looking in Travis County or Bear or Dallas or Harris County. Those are some of the bigger counties that we see. That's where I would focus on. Bigger metroplexes are going to have your rural communities, your smaller communities inside of the bigger cities. Your secondary markets are not bad. You're just not going to see as much as you would in the larger major counties. Now, don't get me wrong. Most of those assignments are probably going to be mortgage companies that have originated the loan and sold it off to somebody else. That's okay. Those that you see that are buying this, you have 2 sources on every assignment mortgage, the grantee and the grantor. Both of them are sources for you to basically track down as either buyers or sellers. Okay, I'm sorry, not the grantee, grantor. That's who's on the loan and who's the borrower on that. But literally, you can see who's on the assignment or the assignee is what I meant to say. Coffee's not kicked in. Time for a little more coffee this morning. So assignee, assignor, 2 sources, person who has a note and selling it and the person who's buying it. Those are 2 sources for every assignment of mortgage or assignment filed at the county clerk. That would be the first thing I would look at. The next spot I would be looking for deals at is new originators. Now, new originators, I don't mean specifically somebody who's out there an owner finance deal. Not really talking about them. Most owner finance people that are originating really can't take a bit of a discount, plus is pretty much performing paper for the most part. What I'm meaning by new originators is if you go to, I'll give you an example. Like what we do here in Texas, I go to the Texas Mortgage and loan department, savings and loan department, and it gives me a list of people that are doing business in Texas, mortgage bankers. Okay, the mortgage bankers are often originating new loans here in Texas. Okay, well, I'm looking not to buy their new stuff, any stuff that they've had on their books for a while. All right, you may want to go to like scotsmanguide.com and look for anybody that may have may look at warehouse lines. Anybody that has a warehouse line, because you can do that really easy in scotsmanguide.com. It's free. Go straight there, just do on the residential, scroll down, see who's anybody's offering warehouse lines. And that'll give you people that are providing lines of credit for mortgage bankers to write loans off of. Now, the thing about those is they're not going to have 100 every month, okay? They may have 1, 2, 3, or 4 every quarter, maybe once a month on some things. And what's also going to happen, though, is most of that's going to be scratch and dent paper, or they're going to sell something at 90, 95 cents of the dollar. Still may not be very attractive unless you can get some pretty cheap money on the back end, unless you're really developing your money contacts that are looking for 3, 4, 6, 8%, and you can find something that's going to pay somewhere between 12 and 15% on a reperforming note or a scratch and dent note. That's still very possible. Okay. Our friend Kristen Gerst up in Dallas is buying performing paper and getting pretty good yields on some of that stuff. So those are some, if you work your markets, hey, you may find some owner finance paper that's somebody wants to get out of. Maybe they need to get sold. That would be one place to look for assets. Another thing, I consider that a new originator. But otherwise, working the mortgage bankers to see who's still got stuff that's been sitting on their books, because let's face it, you're going to start seeing some more defaults across the way. And some of it's going to be subprime stuff, especially as tax values get reacclimated to a new build in different parts of the country. You know, new houses get built up. They're based on the old tax value, just a lot. They don't include the improvements. Voila, April rolls into place, and they got a new tax value, and now the bars are like looking at another $2 to $5 grand in taxes or more figured into their payments on an annual basis. They may not be able to afford that. So keep a look out for those places. If you're seeing originators or you're driving around in an area, you see, $500 down or 0 down, 100% financing, you might want to stop and see who the lender is and target that lender. That would be one thing that I would look at and one thing that I would track and see. Go to the county clerk to see where they're selling assets, look for those names, and then see who they're selling those assets to. See who they're selling those loans to, because I'm willing to bet in the first 3 to 6 months, there's probably going to be some defaults that you could possibly buy at a discount or hold on to. Okay? All right. Another big thing is I would spend some time. I would bite the bullet and invest in Distress Pro. That's going to help you with being able to track down the really distressed banks who have the bigger default rates, who have the 90, 120-day accruals, who have the write-offs, who've been putting money into reserves. You can start tracking that stuff. I think it's a really smart play in 2019, be using the technology to help you really focus a little bit more. So I think that's a great way to look at it. You may also want to check on the FDIC.gov websites as well. Any bank has to submit their quarterly reports once a quarter to the FDIC. You know, any federally insured bank has to do that. I would spend a little time looking through those. So you may be able to find some stuff. It'll tell you residential, commercial loans and default and other things. So that would be another place that I would look at. All right. Another really good thing to look at too, and you're going to start seeing an increase in notice of defaults. All right. The pre-foreclosure lists that so many of our real estate friends love to look at. That's what thing I would spend a little bit of time. Now here in Texas, we don't publish the notice of defaults. It's not, we don't have a notice of default list like we have in other states. Okay. Basically we have the first Tuesday of the month where we list who's going to foreclosure, but usually 90 days before that. Wait a second. Hang on a second here. Logan. You must be using Distress Pro. Logan says, I love the tool. I've already gotten responses from a select group of banks. That's awesome, man. Kudos to you. Yay. Love that. Glad to hear that. Brett does a great job, but spends a lot of time, a lot of work in Distress Pro. Great tool. Glad to hear that. I'll pass that on. But anyway, going back here, one of the things I used to do to get ahead of the postcard bombardment that a lot of real estate investors will do, real estate investors sending out postcards of foreclosures. They're buying the foreclosure list from a foreclosure listing service or something like that, or foreclosure.com. In Texas here, what I would do, since we have such a fast foreclosure time frame with a list going up, usually 2 weeks before the foreclosure auction, you had to really work your butt off to get postcards or letters out or go door knocking. And so that was always the big thing. So what I started doing was taking that foreclosure list and then just start calling the banks and using that address or that borrower as a warm lead into the bank. Hey, I see that you've got this one you get ready to foreclose on this month or in the next month or two. I'd love to talk about buying that note or buying anything else you have on your books. I think that's going to be a big play in 2019. Spend a little bit of time on your foreclosure lists in the top 3 to 5 markets you're buying in and really working at seeing the banks that are foreclosing, seeing the lenders that are foreclosing, taking it back and doing that work, working the list. But in Texas, we have an appointment, a substitute trustee. And that happens all across the country. This is where the bank assigns a new substitute trustee or attorney to start the foreclosure process. And that's what we have considered as our pre-foreclosure list in Texas for years. Okay, and a lot of local investors who know that list love that list because it's not the most publicized list. And that's when you start seeing and tracking those that are on that list that are starting to hit the foreclosure list in the next 90 days. So pulling, so the big thing I would be doing is if you pull the notice of default, if you've got a county or state that does that, great. Or if you're in a county that doesn't do that or state doesn't do that, look for the appointment of substitute trustees. Pull that list. It'll be the pre-foreclosure. It's basically just going to show a bank transfer to an entity, an attorney, or something like that. Those are great lists to call on as well. Okay? Great ones to call on. Now, one thing as well that you want to keep in mind is I think you also probably need to spend a little bit different marketing when it comes to raising capital this year. Because let's talk about it. Funding sources is all going to be critical. And we've seen this already happen where people get a little nervous based on what the market's doing. You know, the stock market is up. Their 401ks have dropped. Their funds are dropping. They're pulling put money into cash, things like that. You look at what happened this morning. I guess Apple dropped their expected earnings by $9 billion this quarter, or $9 million, something like that, down 8%. So making $93 billion, they made $84 billion, something like that is what I saw this morning pop up. They missed the mark on some things. You're going to see that happen, I think, with more companies, especially with the tariffs, the layoffs, things like that. So keep that in mind. People are a little bit nervous about what it is. So we're taking some steps here to send out, and we've been doing this on a regular basis, sending out postcards to people, giving some offers. Hey, here's a free ebook or free book for you to download my book if you're interested in learning a little bit more about real estate investing, or download this. And using some of the opt-ins of the 21st century, like lead pages or opt-ins or text message service, to get people to opt in to some of the educational points. Giving them a free book, giving them a free report, free checklist. Okay, some of those fun things that will get people started, that will get them into your database. And so we're doing that. We're dropping those out. Basically, our goal is to drop 100 to 200 postcards a week. Just one thing we add to the database. It's just a constant thing we're going to be feeding out to some of the things that we do, and seeing people get opted in, and then spending the time to really nourish those relationships, really spend some time getting to know them, build rapport. Hey, here's a free book. Here's our webinar. Here's a podcast. Love to have you kind of come into our tribe, I guess you could say. Okay. But using some of those things to help us raise capital, stuff that's going to be cheaper than going out and giving up half the deal at a Quest Expo or going out to the local real estate expo or something like that, where everybody there is looking for above average returns. Okay. They're looking for 12% or 50% of the profit. There's nothing wrong with those. Getting started, hey, that's what you have to do. But you can spend some time, and like Logan says on here, he goes, Postcard Mania was great. They are phenomenal over there. Gotta love what the whole staff over at Postcard Mania does. They're just phenomenal. And he goes, Logan says, you got a postcard is going out next Wednesday. That's awesome. Good to hear that. But funding sources this year, like I say, you're going to need to be a little creative. Yes, I think it's still valuable. I think it's still very valuable to go to your local real estate investment clubs and meetups. It's just that the one important thing that you want to do is, like we talked about in yesterday's or the previous episode yesterday, about how to step out from the crowd, is making sure you've got your shit together. Okay, making sure that you've got your business cards, your executive summary, some case studies, some of those things ready to rock and roll, so that when you go to a meetup group, which is usually January is going to be the busiest time of the year. It's when most people are going to I really want to do something different in 2019. So what's the best thing to do? Go to your local real estate club. Okay. So hanging out there, but being a social butterfly. Don't be a wallflower. Get up, press some flesh, take some business cards. If people don't have business cards, you probably want to get some little blank slips and be able to write their information down, their name, their email. Maybe take a selfie. One of the things that I like to do is I'll take a picture of my business card on my phone and I'll text it to them. And then that way I've got their number and name in my phone and I can follow up with them if they're interesting. Okay. If you're running out of your limited card, just take a photo and say, hey, I'll text you my card. What's your number? And then that way they're in your book. Then the next day you can just follow up with a text and say, hey, it was great to meet you. You want to schedule some time for call or whatever. Okay. That's what I would be doing with the real estate meetup groups this year. All right. That's one of the big things that I would do. Charles Wilson, glad to hear it because I sent out my postcards last week. Whoop, whoop. So you'll probably start getting some phone calls this week. So I'd love to hear more about that, Charles. Look forward to seeing you and Pam and a few others here in Austin next weekend for our next fast track, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Our fast track training, jacked up. We've got some great stuff. Really looking forward to the great crew coming in and spending 3 days with us here in Austin during the fast track training, which is awesome. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. One final thing. I think IRA investors are still a very valuable aspect of things. I think farming those off your local county appraisal districts, your county clerk, is still one of the most valuable things you can do. I know, Charles, you were working on it. I saw one of your posts on Facebook that you were doing that, which is awesome. I think if you can do anything local or try to maximize your time. I've had one investor who sent out postcards to local investors, said, hey, I'd love to meet you for coffee. And he included a Starbucks card. He actually put a copy of the CAPTCHA thing, whatever the gift card thing, onto the postcard. Say, hey, love to have coffee. Have some coffee on me. Okay. Those are some great things to do. That's like what we're doing. We're planning to send out lumpy mail. Hey, here's an actual physical copy of my book. If you're interested, love to have you. Love to give you a book on learning about real estate investing this year. Love for you to spend some time. Pick up the phone, give me a phone call. Okay. Those are some of the great things that you can be doing. And I think IRA investors are looking at their portfolio. They're wanting to do some things. They might not be less active because they're busy working, but I guarantee you're going to see a lot of people that have money sitting in 401ks or IRAs or have left companies looking to do something with their money this year. And they're thinking about it a lot right now. So spend the time. All right. Spend the time developing some marketing pieces. Spend a little bit of money, $800,000 for a bunch of postcards plus postage. It's going to probably be the most valuable thing. Think about this. You get one IRA investor to fund 25, 50 grand with you, it paid for the whole thing. And just have to do it and sending out the list and spend a little time farming it. What else are you going to do? Football season is basically over. Heck, you can have your laptop in front of you while you're watching playoff games and be pulling this information. You hire a $4 VAA virtual assistant from over in the Philippines or from Upwork to scrub information for you. So those are what I would be doing. So basically, like I said, quick recap here, everybody. Deal sources. If you're looking for deal sources in 2019, I would spend time looking at the AOMs filed in the county clerk, okay? Assignment of mortgages, those that are originating or those that are buying the notes. I would look at new originators as well, okay? New originators as well as you're driving around and seeing things are going on or talking to mortgage companies, seeing what they're doing. I would look at the distressed banks through Distressed Pro. Spend a big chunk of time with that. I would also go and pull your notice of default and appointment substitute trustee lists in your local counties or the counties that you're investing in. All right. And then I would match that up with a little bit of marketing different for your funding sources. All right. Where are you going to find funding sources? Well, I think the best thing, especially January and February, got to be big, is going to local real estate clubs and meetups. Okay. Local real estate investing clubs and meetups, along with targeting your IRA investors out there. Okay. Do a little bit of marketing, drop a postcard out, drop some information out, and you'll be doing a lot better in the long run. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns from everybody who's watching this out there? Anybody got any other comments? Hopefully, I see some great people. Hey, Laura Blunt, good morning. Hey, Stephanie Goodman. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for sharing across the board, everybody out there as well. Okay. Once again, as always, if you're watching this for the first time or listening to this the first time on iTunes, thank you so much for watching this on YouTube or Vimeo. Thank you for watching. For more information, if you'd like to get more information on note investing, you can always text the word notes to Senny2000. That'll send you a message direct to your cell phone, and it'll give you an opt-in, give you a link to all of our videos on No Night in America, along with a pretty easy and simple PowerPoint slide for you to download and walk you through that as well. So, but anyway, hopefully you guys are out having a rock star short first week of the year. Wish all of you the best. And question, I've got a question here. Steve Stroud, good morning, buddy. Is the current strategy to offer a percentage or equity split? I would be offering more of a percentage. I think people can't, I think with you having the deals and you having the opportunities, all right, you've got the a flat return is what I would be doing. A flat return. Find out what their money's making. How's that working for you? What's that doing? Oh, it's making 3-4% in the bank. Well, if I can offer you, double that at 6 to 8%, would it be something to be interested in? Simple conversation, just asking, how's that perform for you? How's that perform for you? Okay, and that's what I would do, Steve. So, all right. That's what I would do. He who holds the gold has the power. In this situation, the person with the gold is the person with the deals, not the person with the funding. Okay, you've got all the power in the deal because literally there's a lot of money out there. So just because somebody comes to you and they want to take 50% plus a return, I would be saying, I got cheaper money elsewhere. Thanks, but no thanks, and move on. Sometimes that's the best. We call that the walk away close in sales. The walk away. Okay, act as if you don't need, and you'll find it out there. So, all right. Well, hey, once again, everybody, thank you for always. You can always follow us online. Oops, hang on here. Always follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can always find me at one Scott Carson, or you can find us at the Note Closure Show podcast as well. So make sure you follow us. If you're listening, please leave a review. If you're watching this on any of the videos, our YouTube Vimeo channel, feel free to leave a comment. Let us know that you love it. Give us a thumbs up. We're always glad to hear from you. As always, you can always reach out to me as well on Facebook Messenger or Instagram as well, and we're glad to communicate. Thanks for all the great comments we're getting from people out there, messages. We love hearing from you, and we look forward to seeing you all at the top, everybody. Have a great day.